So this paragraph starts with, we would implore you to honor sustainability above innovation, to honor partnership and collaboration over control and domination. I mean, that's what you're up against. Then they go on to say, the qualities of domination and control came from us. These qualities have created the disharmony you now live with.
They all tell you very clearly, and they're not the only ones. There are many other independent geneticists that tell you human DNA is a patchwork of spliced DNA material. It is not a DNA strand, as we would call that is naturally evolved and was created. It's a very definitely and very obviously a patchwork of spliced DNA pieces together and make up the DNA that gives us these very specific functions and features that we have.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another incredible talk with Michael Tellinger. It's been an incredible journey for he and I over the last probably 5 years as we've explored his terrain in South Africa, and we go off on wild adventures, and I do my Sight Whisper thing, and we kind of build what we think we know about maybe what happened in the long time ago. So welcome, everyone.
We're going to continue our conversation and continue this journey of discovery. And what I'd like to do this session is to pick up where we sort of left off last time. We were talking about Adam's calendar, right on the edge of the Barberton crater, this huge 20-kilometer diameter crater surrounded by mountains. And the ancient gold mining, the more recent gold mining, the gold rush there in the 1880s, and then the modern gold mines that are still there. And I touched upon the Sheba gold mine that is situated there. And Sheba gold mine is basically right across from Adam's calendar. When you look out east, across from the two central calendar stones, you look out east across the Horus stone that marks the sunrise in the east on that side of Adam's calendar itself, right on the edge of the cliff. I mean, that Horus stone is literally 3 or 4 meters from that sheer drop of 200 or 300 meters down into that valley or the crater or so I want to come back and just talk a little bit about Sheba gold mine and some of the mysterious things going on there. Now, that story goes back to when I first came out. The first time that I came in I think it was like November 2007, after meeting Johann Heine at one of my lectures in Pretoria, I think it was in March 2007, he came to one of my lectures and I was talking about slave species of God and all that stuff. And Johann came and he was in the audience. And that's where we met. After my lecture, he said to me, can I show you some interesting ruins in South Africa? I said, yeah, of course. So everyone was leaving the lecture hall and he whipped out his laptop and we just sat there around the table and he started showing me these aerial photographs of the Stone Circle ruins that he'd been taking for about 15 years at that stage already. He was the only person in South Africa at that time that actually had hundreds of aerial photographs of the Stone Circle ruins. They did not exist outside of Johann Heine and anywhere else. People had not seen them. So obviously I wasn't aware of it. No one had seen it before. It wasn't published. It was in a few very scant archaeological reports that were, maybe 10 pages or so from decades ago and 100 years ago. Now suddenly I've got these beautiful high resolution color photographs of these Stone Circle ruins covering the mountains and mountaintops of Southern Africa. And so you can just imagine what happened. It blew my mind. And then a sequence of events happened that still just boggles the mind. In fact, I might as well start with that because it's a great story. It's an incredible adventure, and it's how these things unfold. It's this kind of that when you're ready and you're looking for this information, the universe or the management or whatever you want to call them go, okay, here you go. Yes. And they literally, fate, the Holy Spirit, the morphogenetic field, whatever you want to call it, God brought Johann and I together, right? And it was just incredible. So I was just blown. It literally shattered my world when I saw that. And I instantly knew that this had something to do with what I wrote about Enslaved Species of God. Instantly, subconsciously, genetically, I knew this was Anunnaki stuff. These were the fingerprints of the Anunnaki I was looking at here. No one has ever seen this before. So, we got so excited talking. We spoke for about 20 minutes or so, maybe half an hour. Then Johan left and I left. I went back home and I didn't have his contact details or nothing.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it was about 5 months later. I was in March, April, May, June, July, August, September, 6 months later or so. I was working at home and I was just thinking, I need to find that guy that showed me those photographs. And I had no way of getting hold of him. So I went back to March and the list of people, the names and contact details of the people that came to my lecture in Pretoria. And luckily I had that, because often we don't keep those details. But early days of me doing these lectures, because I started in South Africa around Johannesburg and Pretoria and then Cape Town, and I traveled through South Africa quite extensively in those days doing lectures everywhere. And so I found it, and I found his name and his email address. And so I emailed Johan to say, I'd love to just connect with you and find out more about these ruins and these pictures that you showed me. And literally, as I closed the email, as I hit sent, I opened my inbox, and there was an email coming to me from Johan Heine's personal assistant. It was in the same minute that I reached out to him, he reached out to me. This is after 6 months, or maybe even more, 7 months. Now, if that's not serendipitous, or if that's not preordained somehow, then you got to start questioning your role and your sentient presence here. So that led to me, literally within a month, Johan organized a trip for a helicopter flight for me and a whole bunch of people. He invited all the archaeologists, all the geologists, all the historians, anthropologists, etc., from Wits University, that's my old university in Johannesburg, from Pretoria University, from Cape Town. He put out 2 Huey helicopters that take 9 people each. I think they're 9 or 10 people, including the pilot. So he invited all these people, thinking that maybe 20 people will rock up or so. And he was going to fly us around and show us the aerial views of the stone circles, because there were no drones in those days. The only aerial photographs and videos that existed were his. He didn't have many videos, but a lot of photographs. So I was invited to come as well on that very special first weekend. So I drive from Johannesburg to Nelspruit, and that's about a 3.5 hour, 4 hour drive. And I arrive there and I'm very excited. I meet Johan, and so we're about to go out. The Huey helicopters are there ready to go. Now keep in mind that Johan, the reason he's got these helicopters, because he owns this huge firefighting, bush forestry firefighting company. They have dozens of these helicopters and aeroplanes for putting out forest fires. That's his business, and he's got thousands of workers and forestry workers that put out fires and do the fire breaks in the forests and up the mountains and so forth. And they just maintain the forests to prevent fires. And that's why he's got access to these helicopters and aeroplanes. And it's because of that he had accumulated all these photographs over a 15-year period prior to that. So I arrived there, and now we're waiting to go out and fly around and getting ready, with our cooler box and sandwiches and picnic, and because we were flying out and staying out the whole day, landing on the mountains. And so out of all the people that he invited, guess how many people arrived? Zero people arrived that he invited. None of the archaeologists, geologists, historians, anthropologists, nothing. Not one of those people arrived from all the universities. I think it was 3 major universities in South Africa. Not one of those people arrived. That's when I realized the incredible levels of arrogance and conceitedness of these academics. And the result was that I ended up with all this information because I arrived. And Johan and I formed a close bond, and the rest is history, right? We are now 14 years down the road. So cut a long story short, on that very first trip, actually, then what we did, actually, Johan said, well, I don't want to just fly out with you and I in a helicopter. Let's invite some friends. So he made a few phone calls and invited a bunch of friends from the Nelspruit area that could come there quickly to the airport, because his office is right there at the old Nelspruit airport up in the mountains. And so a bunch of people arrived, and we actually even flew somewhere and picked somebody up in the helicopter. We landed on their farm and picked them up to fly around with us. So we flew around, and one of the guys there was a guy called Brian Young that joined us. Brian is still down there. He actually lives in the Barberton crater, and he runs a flying school. He's a pilot. He's an ex-military, he's like one of those the recce kind of guys, the military special forces unit guys. And he's a pilot, and he runs a little flying school. They call Pyramid Flying School, right there in the Barberton Valley. Yeah, his flying school is called Pyramid Flying School, and guess where his flying school is located? With a field, with a little grass, what do you call it, runway. It's for light aircraft, and mostly, what do you call them? These things with the kites, the
hang gliders.
Like,
no.
What are they called?
Hang gliders go off a cliff. I don't know. Some because they're ultralight.
It's the motorized hang gliders. What they called? I forget.
Ultralight.
Microlights. Yes, thank you. So it's mostly a microlight flying school, and very light aircraft. And his flying school is called Pyramid Flying School. He's got a little lodge there that people can come stay in for a week as long as they do that. And then they fly around. And his flying school and the runway is right next to the pyramids. Down his calendar. Again, you can't make this stuff up. So anyway, Brian was flying around with us, and he's just an amazing guy, very knowledgeable. But one of the interesting things about him was that he was the chief of security at the Rand refinery in Germiston, Johannesburg. The Rand refinery is the biggest gold refinery, one of the biggest gold refineries in the world, and the main gold refinery in South Africa. All the gold mines and platinum mines, and they sent all the gold and platinum to the Rand refinery, where it is then processed to much finer and 99% refined gold and whatever else they process there. So he told me a lot of stuff about the Rand refinery, and especially the security and what happens once trucks pull in and the doors close behind the trucks, and how nobody knows what goes on in the Rand refinery. You can't audit the Rand refinery, because what goes on in there belongs to the Rothschilds and the international banksters, right? They own the gold, because pretty much they buy the gold from the gold mines. So remember, once they've paid for the gold, and it's just an incredible scam.